All right. Well, welcome everyone to our podcast. Today we're sitting down with
Cool.
two of the best dog trainers in the world, Lukas Miller and Chase Flores. Let's get into it. Why do so many people struggle with their dog's behavior, and what's up with all the anxiety we see in dogs these days?
Yeah, good question. I think that people's relationships with their dogs is a little unique to begin with because I think that dogs break a universal law, and that law is that dependency creates resent. And that's true in almost every facet that we can imagine, except for our relationship with the dog. And what I mean by that is, although they're dependent on us, they don't show us any form of resentment for that dependency that they have. And to put it into context of a human relationship, it's like if you and I were friends, Chase, we both have to get something out of the relationship for our relationship to be perpetuated forward. But if at any time it felt like either one of us was giving more than the other, and it wasn't reciprocated, chances are the relationship kind of falls apart.
Sure.
But we have a dog where no matter what amount of effort we contribute to them, they are willing to pour in us abundantly. So they kind of become this ever ending source of affection. And I think, unbeknownst to people, they somewhat take advantage of that relationship with the dog, where they don't really have to contribute much, but the dog will still give them showers of affection and love. And I think a lot of times people think that they love their dog, but the problem is they're loving the dog through a human filter that appeases a human heart more so than love it in a way that benefits the dog. And so unintentionally, they're loving the dog in a way that the dog is obviously not reciprocating. And how do I know that? Well, the dog's anxious, nervous, doesn't listen to them, bites people, whatever the case might be. But it always comes back to that relationship to me that you have to, in some ways, be your dog's God. And what I mean by that is we are asking them for a healthy level of submission where they just trust us all the way. And even as people, when we exercise our faith, we know how difficult and challenging that can be at times. But for our dogs, understanding that they're predators, and if we leave them to their own thought processes, they're going to resort to this instinctual premise thought process that falls onto a spectrum of fight or flight mechanisms. So that's why we see so much anxiety, is because people haven't developed a relationship with the dog where they've established trust and are able to push that dog to a healthy level of submission. That leaves the dog thinking on a chaotic spectrum that's predatory in nature, and that's why it falls on that spectrum of fight or flight. If we were dealing with an herbivore or a prey-driven animal, it would be a completely different learning theory for the dog in general. But because people don't know how to go about that process of obtaining submission in a healthy way, they just approach the relationship in a selfish way because they're just showered with affection from it. They totally take advantage of the relationship in the sense that they're taking a lot from the dog, but they're not contributing any skill set or quality time back into the dog, at least not in a way that yields a productive, constructive time spent. You see what I'm saying? That like,
Yeah, I always see the dogs walking in a state of what do I do? Isn't this the developed prefrontal cortex or the lack of it? So when we can tell the dog what to do with some fundamental commands, okay, do these three things, especially when things change. I always see it's typically somebody comes over, doorbells ring, we take them outside, they see a random dog. What do I do in this situation? And the owner doesn't have that confidence to tell their dog what to do, but also like releasing the energy, getting that focus. And you'll see in our app and our courses that the focus is always tailored towards us. Like we're really the only things that matter in the dog's life. We want to give them more freedom, but they have to earn that, right?
right,
Like
we
that's a
yeah.
big part of this.
Well, and I think that's the exchange that we wish we could explain to the dog is, hey, I will give you all the freedom in the world as long as you give me your compliance. and I need your compliance because it's my job to keep you safe. I can't keep you safe if you won't even trust me enough to do the things I'm asking you to do, kind of thing, right?
Mhm.
I mean, and yeah, I mean,
It has to be a respect side of it. When I always see it's more of a, especially being that predatorial nature, is the dogs start to take advantage of us. That love, that grace that we want to give them, that human response. And there has to be a balance to being a dog parent. I always refer to this like when I first started, I was a dad first. I didn't really have an understanding of dog behavior. So I had to learn it from Lucas, kind of like what that means as far as the love, the balance, the discipline of it, so your dog can feel that trust. So like the going back to the balance side, like there has to be a transition from pet first and foremost. We know we're teaching pets most of the time, but at certain times you have to be a better pet. When people come over, and these are just simple expectations, I expect you to be well behaved when we take you outside. That's that transition that we're creating for the dog to the owner relationship. Is how do you create that submission in your dog and slow them down so that fight or flight response doesn't kick in
yeah,
when they're stressed out?
yeah, exactly. And obviously, there's an old school way to go about it
Sure.
where you just grab the dog and you rub their face in it and you be, and it's like you just can't do certain things, especially in a professional context when you're teaching people how to do it. And I always emphasize, yeah, this is why tools have been invented so that we can interact with the animals in a way that's not confrontational. It's not as stressful to the dog. It's not potentially damaging to our relationship the same way that our hands or our
Our voice,
physical
even.
voice corrections could be,
Mm-hmm.
because man, if you go about it the right way, I guess we're biased, but our approach yields a dog that is not stressed through the process, typically understands the step-by-step way how to be successful, and the finished result is we see dogs that are a lot more confident, happy, and still more obedient. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I think there's that misconception, right, of, oh, if my dog's more obedient, then he's more robotic or loses some of his personality or whatever.
So why would you say like positive only doesn't work majority of the time?
You've been to an all you can eat buffet and everything looks really good when you first get there, but then, let's say you just gorged yourself and you're completely satiated. You can't take another bite. So now how much could I, like let's say a kid, I could have got him to clean his room for a box of cookies before I took him to the buffet. But now he's full. So I can't get the kid to give me the same amount of effort for the box of cookies. He's just not as internally motivated at that time. And so I think it's realistic to expect with a dog, there's going to be times when they just want to do stuff more than eat what you have,
Mm-hmm.
right? There's things that are just more fun to them. I mean, prey drive is a real thing. I mean, I don't care. You could be the best dog trainer in the world, probably am, and your dog is still going to want to chase squirrels no matter how well trained they are. I'm just giving you the ability to maintain control of them, call them back to you, kind of thing, when those things happen. And I think what we're kind of talking about fundamentally is you have to learn how to make a dog do something that it doesn't want to do.
That's it. That is literally what we do, like every time. But we teach them why it's so valuable to do those things.
Yes, yeah, right, because that's where the reinforcement comes, and
Mm-hmm.
then they look forward to it. They want to do. We just freaking brainwash them into wanting to do
Sure.
these things. But nobody wants to do these things at first. No dogs want to do anything at first. But it's how do you get them that over that hurdle of, I understand you don't want to, but I need you to, again, to keep you and others around you safe. That is my societal obligation to fulfill, especially owning the power breeds, right?
Well, because social standards, well, the world in general is more congested. There's a lot more traffic. Animals are everywhere, and our social standards are differ now from when we grew up, where you can take your dog in different environments.
Mm-hmm,
People
mm-hmm.
want to have that experience with their dog. But
then they choose it for the aesthetics, and they get a Cane Corso because it's
Sure.
beautiful.
or a Malinois.
But they only had weenie dogs growing up, and so then they get a Cane Corso thinking that they can just do all the same things and potty train it the same. And then the reality sets in, and the dog's 9 months old. It's close to 100 pounds. They have no control. And then they start seeing signs of aggression because the dog figures out it can just intimidate people a little bit and get whatever it wants. And then they come to the professional and they wonder why, at least for me, I'm a little bit what I call professionally sassy. Because I'm like, at what point did you know this dog was going to be large and powerful? Right? And again, back to that societal obligation to fulfill, that you have what I would consider is complete control of your animal. And I often say, if you need a leash to demonstrate control of your animal, I don't think you have control. I just hope you can hold on tight. That's not a demonstration of control.
Okay, so why do we use the tools we use?
Well, first and foremost, I think that the e-collar reigns supreme because it's not dependent on physical strength. I mean, every other old school approach or whatever you want to call it, there's just inevitable inconsistencies. I mean, you cannot pull on a prong collar the same amount every single time.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, have you ever seen those punching machines? You can't get the same score 3 times in a row. I mean, it just never happens. You know what I'm saying? It's so hard with physicality. And then from handler to handler, right? If you're training a dog for a family situation, which is 99% of what we're doing, well, the little girl can't pull as hard as dad. So what? The dog could just never be as good for the daughter? I mean, that just seems almost unfair. And so that's where I think we're teaching people how to compensate with skills and tools to where you're not competing with the dog physically or even really mentally. I mean, it's so easy for dogs and people to understand. And the only reason we use a slip lead in the beginning of the process initially is to give direction to the collar, limit the dog's choices. And a slip lead is unique in its capacity to offer a 1-to-1 ratio of resistance dependent on the dog's strength.
Sure.
Right? Because
and how it's applied.
Right. Because even with, prong collars, choke chains, all this stuff, I mean, it's just not as smooth of a tensioning on the neck. The benefit of a slip lead is it's equal pressure all the way around the neck. But again, you can't pull a dog on a slip lead harder than it could pull itself, if that makes sense. I don't know what I'm trying to say. If you don't move, you just stand in one spot. I refuse to believe that dog could pull harder than is healthy, or it can stand, or it can handle. Does that make sense? I don't see any potential damage to the dog, assuming I'm just like a tree. If I just put the dog on a slip lead and I stood there, I mean, I don't think the dog's going to create serious injury.
When we distribute that tension on the slip lead, we're trying to distribute it on the muscle. We are trying to limit this tension to the trachea. So if we can rotate the dog to turn the dog for direction is the purpose. And we just tailor it to match the collar.
Right.
So I can get off of that tension of the leash and direct the dog with really the components of the sequence of our training is collar for attention, leash for direction, body's communication.
Well, and I think that's really well said. And I think a really critical part to the first part of the process to understand is all dogs naturally have an opposition reflex where if we put leash tension on them, we pull them to the left, their immediate response is to move to the right. We have to teach the dog in the beginnings of the process to trust the guidance. I'm not trying to choke you. I'm trying to lead you through life. And through the obtainment of trust in that process, that's where we are systematically breaking that opposition reflex down to move with us and cooperate with us. As soon as we've kind of broken those walls down of the opposition reflex, that's when we take the leash off and we're getting the same movement without opposition with just the collar.
Sure. And then it comes to a harness and you don't have the control over. I see a lot of harnesses, right?
Oh, man.
We're like, no harnesses, never been an advocate for it.
And I'm convinced it's just propaganda, bro. Like, they're cuter. They're freaking cuter.
I understand the want for it, the desire.
Right.
I think they look ugly, actually.
I mean, but they have cute patterns and pug life. And, it's just like and nobody wants to see their dog like choke or
Sure.
whatever, you know, but at the same time, like I said, nobody wants to teach their dog how to just walk on a leash either. You know, it's like, I don't want to see your dog choke either, but I'd like to just teach them how to walk on it without choking, not just ignore the problem altogether, put them in a harness, and again, just hope I can hold on.
And then you
tight
see
enough.
dogs wanting to push through that, right? Like they have that pressure on their chest, and they're like, "Ooh, I got." They're almost designed to push or pull. So like when they feel that tension, they push through it, but they also have free range of their head.
Well,
They're
what do you
smelling,
mean?
looking around.
What do you mean they push through it? You have the exact same opposition reflex. If I walked up and I pushed you in your chest, your natural equilibrium would kick in, and that opposition reflex is you would push through your chest. So naturally, every animal on the planet that we set up for a pulling capacity, we harness through their chest because
Sure.
that gives them the most power. So every quadruped that we manipulate on planet Earth, basically every animal with 4 legs, it's through the manipulation of head control, right? I mean, it's like we don't just pierce bulls' noses because it's cute. No, it is so easy to lead a bull, a 2,000, 3,000 pound animal. You could grab that little ring on its nose, and because you have control of the head, you could take that animal anywhere, right? I mean, obviously, we're not going to pierce our dogs' noses. They got small.
But horse, I mean, easy concept, right?
Yes.
They're led through the range, their neck, their head turns, their body follows.
Yes. And we're just shrinking it down to, you know, the dog size scale. And obviously the smaller the dog, a little bit more challenging it becomes. But still, all their movement is the same. So does that answer your question?
That was a fantastic deep dive into the dynamics of the human-dog relationship and how important it is to really understand that balance of love, respect, and guidance. I think it definitely sheds a lot of light on why dogs sometimes end up with anxiety and how we can do better for them.
Next question.
All right, let's keep it rolling. So, what would you say is one of the most common misconceptions that people have when they first come to you for training?
That we shock dogs to beat them down into submission,
Yeah,
rather than encourage them to the behavior.
That's the misconception, right? Is that somehow teaching your dog life skills is going to alter their personality. You know, like if that was true, why would you ever send your kid to school?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, at some point you have, like, does your learning affect your personal character? You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, it's just so interesting. And when we put it in human context, you know, like, here's something I like to ask people. I'm like, what do you like to do? Oh, you like to cook. Okay. So if I asked you, would you teach me how to cook? And you're like, yeah, of course. I come over to your house. What percentage of my attention would I have to give you for you to not consider me a rude person? What do you think, Chase?
Percentage?
What percent of my attention do I have to give you for you to not consider me rude?
Well, I'm pretty low expectations. I would say like 10%.
Oh my God.
Just kidding. Like 50%. We'll say there.
I think 100, dude.
Yeah?
Yeah, like if you were like, hey, Lucas, I want to learn.
Just one-on-one?
Yeah. Like,
Okay.
you know, like I said, hey, Chase, will you teach me about the Bible? I come over to your house and I'm on my phone even 10% of the time.
Oh, yeah. I get what you're saying.
Right? You would think I was rude.
Sure.
You know, so as humans, we demand 100% attention from each other for the most part. I mean, sure, if we were hanging out long enough and you had to check a text or something, you know, there's human, you know.
But you're talking about like a guest coming in your home. Yeah. I
Right.
mean, and that's almost what we give our clients when we
have
one-on-one with them.
Absolutely it is. And so it's like, but then you put it in the context of your dog, right? You walk outside with your dog, dude, they pay attention to everything else but you. Yeah. You provide food, water, shelter, drive them to the doctor and pick up their turds. And you don't even matter as soon as you walk out of the house. That just seems like a broken relationship to me. You get what I'm saying? And like, if it was your friend, you'd be like, bro, we're hanging out. Like, get off your phone. Or
especially when it's a random dog, right? You'll never see that. I like to always say, like, when I'm in public to my dog, like that concept of you'll never see this person again. Don't get overly excited with this random person. You're not going home with them. I'm the one thing that matters to you. Same thing with dogs, people. Like, those things are neutral. So your dog obviously should value you more than them.
Right. Well, and I think
I still want them to love that interaction.
Well, I think it's the human version is if I see a dude on the other side of the street that I don't know, you know, the way you're explaining it, I can't make my dog just ignore the person because the other dog is there or whatever.
Sure.
But like me walking down the street and the other guy's on the other side, I can acknowledge him. I could give him a, hey, what's up? But I don't have to run across the street, shake his hand, get to know him.
Or my kids go to the playground. They're not playing with all these random kids at a playground.
Right.
That just doesn't happen that much. Unless you find like matching energy.
Sure.
One or two. It's like a dog park. Yeah, sure. The dogs are going to play together. But typically that doesn't happen.
No.
Too much.
No. And yeah, I mean, you don't just make friends all the time because you went out to eat. Or so, you know what I'm saying? Like, think about how hard it is to make friends as an adult. All I'm trying to say is,
I mean, you're a little different.
But we are able to expect our dog's attention. I think that is beyond fair. We are not asking them for anything that's unrealistic, except pay attention to me. And I think the reality is that our human life is infinitely more precious, more valuable. So what the dog needs to understand is, hey, the fact that I'm spending time with just you, this is time away from my children. This is time I could be being a boyfriend, a dad, a husband. There's so many other capacities in my life that I could be giving attention to. But the fact that I'm giving it to you, an animal, the only way that you could say thank you or reciprocate this effort is with attention. That seems like such a fair exchange to ask from them. And I don't care if you just got a collar and all you cared about was just making sure your dog paid attention to you, I bet you could do pretty dang good.
Mm-hmm.
You're not pushing
those eye drills, like, don't look away from me. And people are like, oh my gosh, she just loves you. I drilled that into her. Like, yeah. You dang right she loves me. She better love me, especially when we're in these chaotic environments and we're showcasing our dog's skill set.
Well, man, you talk about our dogs, and not that I expect anybody in real life to put these expectations, but I mean, the reality is, in me and Chase's position, where we kind of feel like our dogs help feed our kids, we do have insanely high standards for them. We do set the bar of expectation unbelievably high, because it's kind of our job to be the representative of what the epitome of this skill set could look like in the dog and us. And to us, it takes on almost that artistic form of, we believe in the dog's intelligence so much. We have seen so many cool things with dogs that, like, you can't convince me a collar's a bad thing. I mean, it's like, I've created too many miracles with it. I'll never believe you. I don't know. And then it's like, as much as I value my time, you can't tell me that if you knew how to do something in an hour, you can't tell me, oh, but I can do it in an hour, but I like to make it take 3 hours. Why would you do that?
Yeah. What's the difference from treat training to e-collar training? Like, what's that repetition side look like?
Oh my gosh.
I mean, we do puppy training, so we have an idea for all these complex commands, these tricks, thousands and thousands of hours.
Thousands of repetitions, because, you figure every meal you're probably getting maybe a few hundred handfuls, right? Sure. For a couple cups or something.
Repetitions, yeah.
So, but yeah.
Is that realistic for the world, for the common person to obtain?
No, if anybody has time to do 1,000 repetitions worth of anything, it's probably to develop a skill set for themselves, not for another person, another animal, I mean, that's rare.
So what does the e-collar break it down to?
Well, and that's what's so frustrating, I think, to me and you, right? Is that I refuse to believe there's a dog I'm not going to make significant progress within the first hour.
Sure.
I'm talking like, I will have enough fundamentals in that dog. I could confidently hand it to the owner with a few basic ass instructions.
But I think this is where, going back to this question, the misconception about when people come to us, that we're going to train their dog.
Okay, that's a good miscommunication there. That's very true, that people definitely think it's the dog's fault, versus understanding that, like, the dog is the car, and you have to drive it. You have to lead it. Like, I bet you there's some really badass cowboys that could just, like, jump on any horse and do it. Like the dude that transported my horses here, I had so much respect for him, because he's picking up horses that he's never met, no matter how trained they are. I promise you, my horses were not good at getting on a trailer. Mm-hmm. He has to get them off the trailer at least one time every 24 hours. So he could be traveling anywhere in the country, and he has to rotate all these horses off his trailer. I mean, the skill set and horsemanship that guy had was like beyond impressive. You know what I mean? It was like our world of dogs, like him with horses, and they weigh way more than dogs, and they could trample you. But again, he has the skill set, you know, it's so beautiful. No, he could just drive any car. That's how we feel. Any dog walks in, we're the race car drivers. We can drive any car that drives into our shop. You know what I mean? But then you see people that get Ferraris on accident because it was just a cute puppy, but it was the one that was sleeping. Not a good way to pick a dog. But they get that dog, they get home, its true nature, drive starts to come out, and they're overwhelmed in a short period of time. And everything that they thought they knew about dog training, that they trained their last border collie with we did this positive only stuff with our border collie. Okay, well, that's the only dog in the world that's approved for freaking bird removal because they're the nicest dogs ever, or can be, you know, like. But then you got a German Shepherd and thought you could train it the exact same, and it's like then the reality sets in, and it's like you can't do it that, and you know. So I mean, I think that really my passion is that I am so passionate about creating human joy and quality of life. This just happens to be my avenue. And we have to remember that we get dogs to ultimately add joy to our lives.
Of course.
And human life is so incredibly cumbersome, frustrating, hard. I mean, I think that's just the nature of every human's life.
People miss that mark, right? Like raising kids, it's a process. It takes time. These dogs within 1 year span at least graduated high school.
Yes.
Most people miss that mark. And then we get the 1, 2, 3, 4-year-old dogs where they created their own habits. We have to kind of rewire that thinking. But if you started right when you get them, 8, 10, 12 weeks, 3 months old, it's like, man, that process, those are the best dogs that go through our program.
That window of 8 to 16 weeks is such a beautiful developmental window. In my opinion, you should have all of your dog's life skills learned by the time they're 16 weeks, you know? And I'm sorry, but even when I watch other professionals with young dogs, I used to like look at other professionals and think that they had pretty impressive dogs. I have never seen a dog that I couldn't get a 16-week-old dog to probably do at least 90% of the best dogs I've ever seen. And, you know, even Red, dude, Red is king. Bro, I can get client dogs doing 90% of his repertoire of understanding by the time they're 4 months old, dude. And people are just doing that with 2 meals a day, right? But people vastly underestimate their knowledge acquisition window there. You know what I mean? They're trying, it's like, we taught him sit and down. It's like, holy shit, that's all you did in the last 2 months? What the?
Well, there's definitely some components that make that process a lot smoother, right? Like the drive in a dog. Like we've had plenty of puppies where like, oh shoot, we can do some transitions, we can do your down stand. It's like, as far as like the complexity or complex stuff, like reversing handstands.
Sure.
There's like
limits.
Yeah, there are limits to this. But that's already, even the transitions to down stand, sit, middle, it's like that 90%. Like that's way more than anybody else has with their dogs. Even balancing your dog. We see like the best dogs walking on one side. They can't transition to the right side.
Yeah, like other professionals even. You know, they can only heel on one side or whatever. You ask them to switch sides or do something, and it's just like, nope, dog can't do that. Like, what? It's called desensitizing association, guys. You have to get creative with how you show the dog the picture, show it the picture in every single way you can think of. Yeah, it just never stops evolving. You know, it's a 10-year art project. I love your explanation of, guys, they're living 100 years in 10. So yeah, that first year is the whole high school career of like, you know, think about the time and nurturing you pour into your human children. And dogs are a micro illustration of humanity. No, we don't spend hours with them like our kids, and we're not teaching them the same complex life lessons of betrayal.
But I think people appreciate, especially people with kids, they appreciate dogs how once they learn that a dog can comprehend things at a crazy rate.
Oh man,
people are like, I love it. Like
they're
that's
addicted to the progress, right?
I mean, me alone, like I'm like, my kid
to
a
develop
lot longer. Yeah. And so when we get a dog after a year old and can do all these complex things, it's like worth it.
Well, and yeah, and then you talk about that e-collar. It's like, dude, I'm not gonna spend 6 months with food for a maybe.
Sure.
when I could spend 1 hour with a collar for sure progress, amazing things learned, protected the dog's perception of it, no discouragement in the dog's behavior. I mean, again, why I can't squander my life. You know, I just know that there's a better way to do it. I can't waste 3 hours of my time doing something I could do in 1 hour.
Well, I think also a misconception is like, oh, we rely on the collar, right?
Oh, like that we couldn't
That's
do
the
it
only
without
thing,
it.
yeah.
Sure. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
you could. It would just take a lot longer.
Well, and our dogs can still do everything, but like me having a Malinois, I'm trying to manage that drive. Like
I don't want to
she
get
can do
bit.
everything, but she's just so intense with it. She's like, "Give me that frisbee, Dad. I want to work for that toy," and I need to slow her down to get her super focused when I'm teaching her, when I'm working her.
I just don't want to get bit, bro. I mean, you can call me, but like, dude,
I'm not afraid of Muletta biting
no,
me.
my mom bites
Oh.
me, dude, and it hurt. It sucks. Like,
Yeah, that drive. Yeah.
Sure, she'll do it without a collar, but her teeth are rattling. She's snapping her jaws. So you can either put a saddle on to ride that horse, or you can try to ride her bareback. Same dog, she'll do the same things. But man, with that collar on, you just have that slight edge of control and respect that
Sure.
you just can't maintain without it, dude. I mean, I like all the speed and accuracy without getting bit and bruises on my arm and like, yeah. So,
well, I love the nonverbal side that we can create too. Like we don't have to project our voice because our dog's from a distance.
Sure.
They can't hear us. But it's like,
that's a good misconception.
Mm-hmm.
Is more pressure on the collar, your dog must be doing something worse.
Sure.
You know, and sure, you can use a collar corrective, duh. But it's not a magic tool that you just put it on, shock all the dog's behavior out, and poof, it's a good dog. Because if it was that easy, everybody would have one and everybody's dogs would be perfect. I don't care what your opinion on it. If it was that easy. No, but there's an art to it, right?
Yeah, I like it like a voice.
Yes.
Right? Like our voice goes in ranges. We can elevate. We can also yell. That is a negative side of our voice. So our kids understand, hey, when that tone comes out, we're trying to help you not make that mistake. Don't touch that stove.
Yeah, if this is serious or imminent, right? Like,
yeah.
I need your attention now.
But it would be crazy if we're yelling all the time.
Of
so
course.
we encourage, we talk, we make sure that matches the dog's energy as well as elevating to motivate them, push them through things that they necessarily don't want to do.
Yeah.
And we teach them to do those things.
Well, and that's where I often say that, guys, we're teaching the dog that our collar is a voice of encouragement.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a discouraging tool. Dogs that have the understanding the way that we build them fundamentally, they can understand more pressure means jump higher, run faster, bite harder. It doesn't mean you're a worse dog. It means I need more effort towards the task at hand. Right. And so it's like, man, when you get a dog that can understand more pressure, more speed, that's how you draw the best out of the animal. Right. Because in my opinion, when I'm working with my art project, my animal, I'm feeding my kids, dude, I want to eclipse what is even potentially possible. You know what I'm saying? And if my dog is giving me 50% effort, I will never get
motivate him
the best out of him.
Sure.
You know, like if you go to the gym and you try 50% of every day, you just don't get the same progress that you would if you had a coach that was making you do 100% effort every time you went. You know, so it's like we get to be that coach where we never settle for anything less than what we think is healthy. You know, obviously you don't go into the gym and try 100% every rep. We don't do that to our dogs. We are managing a biological framework. They have lungs and need oxygen and heat. And, you know, you have so many things on your mind when you're working your dog. It's not just like, oh, yay, right? I mean,
sure.
It's a sensitive car with a sensitive throttle. You don't just go full throttle the whole racetrack.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? It's like you really have to learn. You are driving a powerful animal, you know, and to understand how to use all of its utility is one of the most beautiful driving experiences in this analogy that you could ever experience, right? And it's so fun for me and Chase because I feel like, would you agree that it's like, I mean, guys, we're not withholding secrets from anybody, but obviously this is our career, our passion. So it's like even our best clients of all time are probably like 25% as good as like Muletta and Red. And
sure.
You know what I'm saying? Like they'll just never drift into that realm. But even that version that we give people How often do we hear, this is the best relationship I've ever had with my dog. This is the most intimate relationship I've ever had with my dog. I feel the closest to this dog I've ever felt with a dog, any dog I've ever had. Those are the things that people tell us on a regular basis, and all we gave them was control of their dog. That's it. A dog that trusts them all the way, which equates to loves them all the way. When the dog loves them all the way, guys, the doors of affection are opened in ways that you just never experienced with the dog. You know?
Yeah.
If you just have a dog that fucking sucks right now, you basically have a cute ass roommate. That's it.
Or a boyfriend that doesn't let people over.
I
See, we hear that quite a bit. It's like, oh, my dog won't let anybody in my home.
The jealous boyfriend.
Yeah, like, what are you
Girls
doing?
complain about jealous boyfriends so much, and then their dogs do it, and they're like, he's so cute.
No.
You know what I mean, though?
He protects me. I'm like, you want that?
Yeah.
You want a dog that protects you?
Yeah, because now you have no social life.
Yeah.
And now you live with the liability.
Right. It's a loaded gun you can only use once.
You shoot that bullet one time, and now guess what? You're screwed, and you got to pay for quarantine. And then there's strikes, and now you got to move out of that city.
I love that we talk people out of that. Like, oh, I wanted a protection dog, excuse me. And I'm like, do you? And then we go to that little spiel.
Yeah, like, you want a pet
we
dragon.
Want a dog that knows how to act, when to act and when not to.
Yeah,
act.
It's the pet dragon that's only gonna blow dry your hair, but it's never gonna burn you. This dragon's just gonna blow on my hair. That's what people are asking for.
No.
Hey,
like, when do you walk in a state of fear? Are you walking around like somebody's gonna get me?
You live in America. If you live in America, I don't want to help you build a protection dog. And you definitely are getting robbed. If you're out there spending $65,000 on these protection dogs, watch our program, tailor what you want the dog to understand. You could easily teach the dog all these things yourself, but understand that what you're asking for is to have a lethal weapon with its own brain that you have to maintain a level of proficiency to trust. That's a big ask from most laymen.
Sure, it's not a professional, and you're seeing social media content of this, and that's like, I think that's the terrible side of this, is like, people are like, oh, they've seen it on social media. Like, yeah, but guys, that's not real world.
It's not real world. And, I mean, I knew a guy that was an active bounty hunter for 10 years with his dog. His dog was like 4-time national champion, Mondio ring dog, dude, and really just wanted his dog to get to bite somebody in real life.
Did it?
He said it never happened. In 10 years, he said it never happened. And it's one of those things,
an intense job for the dog.
And especially if you pull a dog out like that has serious training, I mean, the intimidation factor is there. Most people aren't going to escalate that unless they're on drugs or something. And I mean, but even then, I mean, I just think it's unlikely most of the time. And so that's what I tell people is like, having really intimidating control is often enough of a deterrent. You don't need the full-blown protection word. So,
when your dog's reading your energy, so God forbid someone did grab you, you've been telling your dog what to do this whole time. Sit, come, heel. It's like, now your energy changed. You don't have the confidence anymore. Your dog has felt that confidence from you the whole time since you've been working them. Now your dog acts, right? Well, like, that would be like a 0.1% chance. Like, let's be honest. But that's kind of the difference from you having confidence in every scenario, every environment, and then you don't.
Right. And there's no excuse good enough to me as to why you didn't have control of your dog. But somebody broke in my house. I don't care. Still not a good enough excuse to me why you didn't have control. And even that's where I think the misperception of most people's dogs, if someone broke in your house, are biting from a stance of insecurity. Yeah, they're not biting from a stance of confidence. They've never learned the formalities of how to use that tool. And so they're probably just going to like nip and try to get away or get out of the situation. They're not going to stand up and be the intimidating protector you hope them to be, unless, again, there's tons of formalities that happen. So anyway, this is good for now. This is a good starting point. We got tons of good content.